Okay, folks, I think we're going to go ahead and get started here with today's session. My name's Derek Lalone here at the Model Schools team. Um, and just so everybody knows, just leave your name somewhere in the chat just so we know to take it for attendance. And a couple quick announcements as always. We're just going to review what the other sessions that we have coming up this week, and then we'll get into our Google Drive presentation with Valerie Ray. So if we review this week's sessions, just to let you know what we have coming up. Tomorrow we have the student point of view of Google Classroom. So this will kind of give you a bird's eye view of what your students will be experiencing through Google Classroom as they're working in it, so you can kind of help troubleshoot and kind of get to know their experience a little bit better. On Thursday, we're going to be talking about the Google Classroom mobile app. So you'll get kind of an overview of how to navigate the app, from the teacher and student perspective. And then Friday we have a Google Sheets webinar, which just kind of talks about a lot of the ins and outs of Google Sheets and how we can kind of leverage it in an educational type environment. So those are the sessions that we have set up for this week. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the chat and we'll get to them as soon as we possibly can. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Valerie Ray to talk about Google Drive.
Hi, I'm Valerie Ray, and I'm with Model Schools at the MORIC. I want to take a few minutes today and talk about Google Drive, the basics of Google Drive, and some advanced features of Google Drive. Let's get started. As you can see, I am at a new tab on my Chrome browser. So the question is, how do we get to Google Drive? So we can do this in a couple different ways. On my tab browser, you're going to notice up here in my favorites bar, if you have your favorites bar listed, you can actually just click on your web apps, app launcher, and Google Drive will pop up. Here is the Google Drive triangle. If you select that, that will take you directly to your Google Drive. Let me show you another way that you can do this. Okay, my drive is open. Just for demonstration's sake, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a new tab. Again, I am back on my Chrome browser on my search page, and if I type in drive.google.com, that will take me directly to my drive as well. The other thing you can do if you're on another Google app, wherever you have access to this waffle, you can actually just select the waffle and the drive should be one of your main icons on the top of the list. If it happens to be down here, I just want to show you that you can actually move your icons around because Drive is like the backbone to everything that we do in Google. It's our cloud storage. I like to have my Drive up on the top row. So if it's not there, you can actually just click and drag it and move it around. Okay, so now we are in my Drive. It doesn't look like my video is loaded. I'm going to refresh my button just in case because there are some things that I know that are there that just haven't shown up there yet. Sometimes if they don't always show up, you can actually refresh your screen and your screen will actually pop in some of the ones that you have here. But let's just look at the way the drive looks, okay? So you have your symbol over here, your drive icon. Notice when you mouse over, it becomes a little pointer finger. That means if you click on it, it'll just take you back to your drive page, all right? So notice the menu on the left-hand side. We have the new button. We're actually going to go back and we're going to talk about this new button because there are a lot of G Suite apps that are listed under this new. We can do a lot with this new button. But also notice that we have a priority section in our drive. We have my drive. We have a shared drive section. And then below that, the next section, there's the shared with me. There's the recent, a starred menu, and then also trash. And then also down below here, it tells you basically how much storage that you actually have in your drive. Let's go across the top. Across the top, we have the search bar. We can search within our drive just to find selected folders and selected documents that we're looking for. We also have a ready for offline use here. This button is here, but it also, that has to be enabled in your settings over here. So I have mine checked and we'll go over that in a few minutes. Here's also a support or a help button so that if you have a question with Drive and you're not quite sure how to find something or you just need some additional support and some help, you can click on this and it'll take you to help, training, and then any kind of updates that go along with Drive. The next item over here, your Google App Launcher. This is where all of your Google apps are stored in a menu. And then you also have your Drive profile or your Drive account here, which allows you to switch back and forth in between different drives. The other thing that I want you to notice over here on the right-hand side, you have an icon that will take you directly to calendar, or it'll give you a snapshot view of what's going on in your calendar for that particular day, or you can actually move through the month here, and you're going to also see this menu in your Drive, in your Google Sheets, in your Google Docs. You have access, Google Slides, you have access to all of these things. The last one down here is also tasks. It's about anything that you want to keep a note of, things that you need to have done, things you need to remind yourself with. That's just an easy access area to any kind of Google tasks. Okay, let's come back over here to the left-hand menu. On the left-hand menu, like I said, we have our priority tab. This happens to be a new section. It may be enabled in your Drive and it may not be. That's also a setting on the Google admin side. My Drive, this is where you're listing all of your files. If you click on My Drive, you're going to see that you have a quick access kind of, I don't want to say it's a toolbar, but it's quick access. These are the things that you've actually uploaded, you've edited, you've touched within the last day. It's just easy, quick. If you've got a lot going on in your Drive and you don't quite remember what folder you put something in, if you know that it was something that you just touched this morning, or if it was something that you opened up yesterday, it should be in your quick access bar right here. Down below that section is the section where you have all of your folders, okay? Or if you like the list view better, you can switch it so that you have a list view here, alphabetical list of all the folders and files in your Drive. So this is one thing that we didn't talk about, was this little icon over here. You get to toggle in between either a list view, or you can do the grid view. I happen to like the grid view. I'm very visual, so this works best for me. But if you happen to like something alphabetical, you can do it that way. The other thing, though, that I want you to note is, even though we're in our folders here and I have them on a grid view, I can actually I can actually change the way that these files are listed. So this really is your sort. So if you want sorting from alphabetical sorting of your folders from A to Z, you're going to want to make sure that that arrow is the up. If you want an alphabetical sorting from Z to A, you're going to actually toggle that switch on and off. How do I get that? If I went back up here, let's talk about this up here. If I went back up here and I switched from my grid view to my list view, I have a menu basically that goes across the top here. So if I mouse over by name, I can actually sort my folder names or my file names, A to Z or Z to A. I can also come over here to last modified. If you notice there's a down arrow next to last modified, I get to choose, if I wanted to sort all my files, I could choose last modified or last modified by me or last opened by me. Okay, so I can actually choose the last modified and then sort A to Z or Z to A. So this is just a nice organizational piece on how to actually find some of the things that you're looking for and just kind of make sense of your actual file storage area. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to come back over to the left-hand menu, and I just want to show you the things that are under the new button. If we go ahead and we select the new button, a menu pops up. You can actually create a new folder here. You can upload a file from your computer. You can upload a folder from your computer. The submenu under here, Google Docs, if you click on the arrow over there, you have the option to create a blank document or from a template. Same thing with Google Sheets, same thing with Google Slides, okay? But there's also a More button here. And once you mouse over the More button, you get a flyout menu. This is where you're going to find Google Forms. This is where you're going to find Google Drawings, Google My Maps, Google Sites, and then any of the other apps that you have connected to your actual G Suite Drive. All of these add-ons that I have here, add-ons or apps that I've connected to my Drive, have a folder that sit in my Drive. So anytime I use any of these particular apps, they're always stored in the drive, and that's why they connect to drive. Okay, so the ones that I really want you to pay attention to, though, Google Form, like I said, Google Drawing, My Maps, Google Sites, those are the top additional G Suite apps that just don't show up in the main menu over here, but just show up in the More menu. All right, so as we look at that, if we wanted to just create a new folder, all you do is you select new folder, and then you want to name it example folder, okay? And then you click create. And what that does is it tells you down here in the corner that it's working, but it also creates a folder, example folder here. Now remember, my view is the grid view, and I have mine sorted as last modified. Okay, sorted A to Z, last modified. So this was a folder that I just created. That was the last one modified. Therefore, it shows up in my grid in the very top. Yours may not be that way. You may have to go through your folders if you have it, depending on how you have them sorted, your folder will be in your drive. So the other things that you can do with your okay, let's go back to the new first here. Like I said, file upload will take you to actually your computer. So from here, you can upload a file, and then, or you could do a file or a folder upload as well. All right, so let's go back. We're in my drive. This is a folder that I just created. So this is my example folder. Now, I do a lot of right-clicking for the right-click menu. And when I right-click on my computer, I get a menu, and just about every option that I have available to me in Drive show up in this particular menu. So for example, if I wanted to share this folder with someone, I can select share, and it'll take me to my share settings. If I wanted to get a shareable link for this folder to share out, I can click here and it'll give me a shareable link, or will turn on a shareable link. I can add a shortcut to my drive. I could also organize this folder and put it in another folder if I wanted to create it as a subfolder, so I can move it around. I could also add to star. We didn't really talk about the starred menu yet, but we will. I can rename this folder. I can actually change the color of the actual folder. I'm going to make it blue. Okay, so there are just, like I said, if you right click, there are a lot of different things that you can actually do with this particular folder. Okay, that's in the My Drive. Let's go down here to the shared with me. So remember, when someone sends you an email and they say, I have a document that I shared with you, go ahead, click it open. If you don't get an email or you miss the email and somebody said that they've shared something with you, you can always come back to the menu in Drive, always click on the shared with me, and it will give you a folder view, or not folder, but it'll show you all the files and folders that have been shared with you within a specific time period. So and that's only because I have mine selected by share date. So shared date, if I wanted to actually create a list where I want the oldest document shared with me, I could actually make that an up arrow, reverse the sort direction. But I have shared date just because I know it's easier for me if somebody says, hey, I just shared this with you yesterday. I can come in here, take a look at yesterday, and I see that those folders are there. All right. And what's really interesting is that if I want to actually take these files that are in my shared drive and put them in my regular drive, I can do that as well. So if I click on the folder itself, right click, again, I'm a right click kind of person. I could say add shortcut to my drive, which just means that I want to add that folder to my drive. I no longer want it in the shared with me section. The only thing that I suggest is if you start cleaning out your shared with me and start putting them into your drive, wait 24 hours before you delete anything out of the shared with me. And that's because Google basically says they have up to 24 hours to sync folders. So from experience, I've taken something out of my shared with me file, I put it in my main drive, and I deleted the shared with me file, and it actually has wiped out, because the sync didn't happen, and it wiped out everything that I actually put in my drive. So that's the one caveat that I tell teachers: if you're going to move things out of shared with me or clean up your shared with me, move everything one day. The next day, go back in and clean out the shared with me, and everything that you put in your drive should stay there. The other thing I like to talk about too is recent. Sometimes when you're you're working right along and you have a couple different documents and you know that you just had it open, maybe a week ago, you can always go to your recent files or your recent area and find the documents that you're looking for. And that's only in case you don't remember where you put them or what folder you put them in. Hey, we do stuff like that, right? Let's talk about the starred menu. All right, the starred menu is a menu where in my drive, anything that I have that I want to actually save and I want easy access to, like let's just say this Google Drawing or this drawing folder, if I right click this folder and I select add to starred, what it does is it still keeps it in my files, but it also adds a link to the starred menu, which just really anything starred is favorites, right? I mean, whenever you see anything up here in the URL and you want to keep it for later and bookmark it, that's basically the same thing that you're doing in Google Drive. So the one that I just starred was drawing. It's right here in my list. Okay. If I wanted to remove that from my starred menu, again, I right click, I go down to where it says remove from starred. I click it and now it's gone. And it still remains in my drive no matter whether it's starred or not. Okay, so here's the example folder. It's still there. So I use this starred menu quite a bit. The other thing, trash. This obviously, things that you don't want will go to trash, right? The only thing is it doesn't automatically empty. You have to empty it yourself. So over here, you can't right click on the menu, but empty trash is now up here in the upper right hand corner. So once you click empty trash, it'll ask you all these files and folders are about to be permanently deleted. Do you want to do that? Because you can't undo it. So I'm going to say, yes, let's go ahead, empty trash. I want to clear up some space. I want to get rid of the things that I don't really need. So now my trash is clean. It's emptied. All right. So back to my drive. The other thing I want to talk about is the settings. Okay. Remember we talked about your settings, your gear wheel. And remember we have this ready for offline. So you can actually sync your offline to your computer so that if you are not in Wi-Fi, you can actually still work on documents and still do things with your Google Docs, create that kind of thing, except you can't search and all that, those kind of things because you need Wi-Fi to do that. But if you want to work on specific documents offline, you have to actually go in and set this up. So at the gear wheel, if you click on the gear wheel, and you come down here, you can get drive for desktop, which is really what I was just talking about. But if we go to settings, let's go to settings, and these are your settings for your drive. So you have 3 different areas here. You've got general, notification, and then manage apps. We're just really going to talk about general because any of these settings in the general is really what you're going to see. So we have storage, convert uploads to Google Docs, meaning if you have Word documents that you want to put in your Google or you want to put in your drive, you can store them as Word documents. But if you enable this, anything that you upload will convert automatically to a Google Doc. I don't have it checked because sometimes I want to keep the Word version. It just puts it in the cloud and I have easy access to it. Language settings, here's the offline. This might not be enabled for you. It might be an open checkbox. And if it is, well, I just wanted to show you that, and now it's okay. So you can toggle this on and off. If you check this offline, you will get this little circle with a check line up here. Okay. And this, like I said, just allows you to actually work offline on Google Docs and certain things that you can have access to without being on a Wi-Fi. And then as soon as you hit Wi-Fi again, anything that's put in your offline area will automatically sync up as soon as you hit Wi-Fi. So that's a really neat thing. Okay, it took a few minutes. So you may have this as a default, and then if you go in and you select it, and I don't know if you watch this up here, but as soon as that check mark came off, this option up here came off. But I put this back on because that's how I use Drive. I use it that way because you know what, if we're going down the road somewhere and I need to work on something real quick and my husband's driving and I want to work on a document, I don't have Wi-Fi in the car, so could, but I don't. So I could actually work on some documents in offline mode, and then actually when we get to Wi-Fi, sync it up. The other thing, density. So, I mean, you can play around with these kind of settings, but once you click on this down arrow next to density, you have 3 options: comfortable, cozy, and compact. I like the comfortable. I mean, I don't really see too much of a difference between comfortable and the cozy. So I just stick with the comfortable. I think that's default. And then here are some suggestions. Make relevant files handy when you need to have them in quick access. I have that enabled. Surface important people and files and shared with me. Page refresh required. I have that enabled. The other thing, make priority my default homepage. That was checked, but I took it off because I don't really use the priority section right now. And you may not even have it enabled. It might be something that has to be enabled on the Google admin side that your tech director or somebody in the tech department would enable that for you. Okay, so once you make any of these changes, the biggest one really I wanted you to notice was this offline piece, because this can be really powerful. And just so you know, students have the ability to actually check this on and off as well on their Chromebooks when they're using, when they're using Chromebooks, they can do it. Either use the offline mode on their Chromebook, or they can use the Chrome browser and enable the offline mode this way as well. So whenever you make changes, you want to make sure that you click on Done, and those changes will be enabled. Let's take a few minutes and talk about what it looks like if we were to upload a file into our Google Drive. Now, I know a lot of you have Word files that you would like to have access to in the cloud 24/7, anywhere on any device. Let me just show you what that looks like. So remember, we go back over to this New button, we click on New, and we can select File Upload. So I'm going to go to File Upload, and I know that I have placed this document here, and this is the document that I want to upload. So I just select it from my computer, I open it up, and now, I got to move myself. You're going to see a little window down here that basically says, okay, we just uploaded this file. All right. Notice it's got a W to it. It's a Word file. All right. It says it uploaded fine. So I'm going to close that out. And then if I go back to you know what? I don't know where it went to, but here, this is something interesting. Let's come up here. I'm going to move myself back down. Let's come back up here and let's go to our search, because you know what? I kind of lost it in my drive. I'm not really quite sure where I want to put it. So if I select search and I get this down arrow, I now can search out some things that I've been doing and things that I've been working on. I know that this was not one of these formats, but this was actually a Word document, but I'm not going to put anything in there right now. And I'm not really quite sure where the owner was, but I do know that I just did it today. So I'm going to select today, and I'm going to click on search. What that does is it's going to show me the files that I had opened today. And I do know that I had a grading rubric that I just uploaded. Of course, it doesn't show me it doesn't show me the files that I just brought in. So, okay, let's go to recent and see if I can see it there. There it is. Here's my class discussion. All right, so the search didn't really work for me, only because I didn't have the format Word to look for. I also didn't have a name of the document to look for. But what I ended up doing was going into recent. And because I went into recent, it showed me the last few things. Well, let's close that out. It showed me the last thing that I actually just uploaded. So when I go to open it, I can double click it. Of course, it's opening as a Word document, but I have the options to convert it to a Google Doc if I want to do that. The caution is sometimes if there's a lot of formatting to an actual document, you might want to be careful when you do convert it, just because it doesn't always convert 100%. So just make sure that you double check and you look if you go ahead and you convert it. Now, why would I want to put a Word document in my cloud? Like I said, it makes it easy for me just to access this document from anywhere and from any device. That's the beauty of the cloud storage, right? Okay, so I'm going to go back here. I'm actually going to kind of move this into a place where I want it to be, because right now it's in recent. If I went into my drive, I would find it in my orphan files that are all listed down below underneath all my files. So I want to do a little bit of organization. All right. If I, again, right click I get a menu, and notice here it says show file location, but also add shortcut to drive, or I can move to. If I select move to, now I have the option to move this anywhere in my drive. I could send it to a starred folder. I think what I want to do is I'm going to move it to drive, but remember that example folder that I created? I'm going to put it there. So I'm going to select, and then I'm going to use the arrow and hit the arrow, and it moves it to the next. It moves it to the next area, and these are all my file folders in my drive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for my example folder. I select it, I click the arrow, and there is nothing here. If I wanted to create an example or a subfolder within this example folder, I'm just going to put rubric grading. All right, that's the name of the folder. All I did was click this little icon down here in the left corner of this little window. It says new folder. All right, I'm creating a rubric grading folder. Yes, I'm going to select the check mark. So now I'm in the rubric grading folder, and this is where I want to house this document. So all I have to do is click on move here. Now that's a way to organize your files. You can actually access that anywhere. So let's come down here below all my file folders. These are what we call orphan files. So, I mean, what we're really going to do is just you select, like I said, right click. Right click gives you access to anything. If I wanted to move it, I just go to move to. So once I move it, or I select move to, it takes me to an area where, all right, where do you want to put it? If I needed to back up and I wanted to star it, I could do that too, starred down here. Okay, so that's an easy way to organize your files and put them into folders where you want them to be. I do want to show you one more thing. Okay, so I have, let's just say I have a file down here that maybe let's go over to shared with me. Let's do a shared with me file, because I want to look at what kind of activity has really gone on with this particular file. I know that somebody has shared this with me, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select this file. Now, all I have to do is just select this file. Don't forget it's in the shared with me section. And you can do this in any part of Google. I'm sorry, of any drive. So if you just select it and then you come up here over to the right-hand side, right under your profile, there's that little I. That I means information. But there are two pieces to this. So if we select the I, we get a little task pane. I'm going to move myself over here. We get a little task pane that has two different sections. We have a detailed section, and then we also have an activities section. If we look at the details, what it really does is it tells us who is the owner of this particular document, who else is this document shared with, and then what type of document, storage, who's the owner, the date it was modified, the date it was opened. Viewers can download. If I wanted to add a description to this particular document, I could do this here. But then if I click over on activity, I can actually take a look at the activity that's happened on this folder, on this particular document. So this document, last time the activity, any activity on this document was July 8th, 2015. It's an old one. So anyone can edit. Alice Keeler, Google Classroom Guru, she actually can edit this. But like I said, if you went back to details, you'd notice that Alice Keeler she has editable rights to this particular document. But this becomes handy when you have students who are working on multiple things, students who are working in like a project folder. You can select the folder, come over here to the I, and you can actually see who has had contact with that particular file. So this is a great little area just to, like I said, see the activity that's happening with that particular file, and also to actually take a look at the details. So those are some of the ins and outs of Google Drive. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me, vray@moric.org, or anyone, if you have an FTE from the RIC in your district, feel free to reach out to them. They can answer your questions as well. Thank you.
All right, everyone. As always, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat below. We'll hang out for a little while. As always, if you guys have any shut off my echo. There we go. So as I said, feel free to hang out, ask us any questions that you have, and if not, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.